Hi guys. Not coffee, sadly. Cup of tea. So, if any of you have been feeling really, really shitty, antagonistic, attacked, or just acutely aware of the black hole, which is just another layer of awareness, really, more than anything, it's just another layer of awareness of how we've been tortured, abused and manipulated here. But also a way through to healing that and changing that around in the alchemical process. You know, guys, wow, just to go off on a tangent here, but I have noticed that so many YouTube channels are just, oh, the nonsense is just appalling. And something that's become really obvious to me here as well is that, wow, yet again, this always, it's always, whoa, right, okay, so I'm just going all over the place here, like literally, you know, like, and then, never mind. We are literally surrounded by them, you know, the NPCs, the Hylics, they're all bloody, you know, I came across a channel that talks about this a lot, but the guy is an NPC. This is so interesting. I mean, it really is. That there is just the whole energy of these types of channels is geared towards well, it's all just wetiko, really, it is. It's all hate and rage and victimhood, and oh, they're doing this to us and they're doing that to us and we hate them and they're disgusting and oh, la la la, blue. There's never any kind of going within, doing the work. The people like that, and they're not people, they're actually NPCs whining about NPCs, which is what I find so interesting. They wouldn't have the first clue as to inner work, introspection, owning your inner shit, right? I said that to somebody once, owning your shit, and I got really, really irate. Owning my shit, I'm in this terrible state, I didn't do this to myself. And I'm like, okay, well, you didn't. So? Does that mean that you're just gonna be a fucking arsehole and a victim and a whiny, passive-aggressive tosser for the rest of your life? Is that it? Because when I say owning it, I actually mean it's not about, oh, I didn't do this to myself, so I don't have to do anything and I'm just going to be like this. Which means, by the way, that you're just a wanker and you treat other people like shit because that is what they do. And there is no empathy, you know. There's no empathy. It's like, really, you know, I don't own anything. I don't have to own it because I didn't do this to myself. No, you didn't do this to yourself. But if you want to fucking heal and if you want to get out, you have to go in there, you have to introspect, you have to ask the hard questions, and you have to do the fucking work. You see? But it's not like that for these creatures with their YouTube channels, their, you know. And it's like those type of YouTube channels where it's always about all the, you know, all the darkness, and they're always focused just on all the shit that's happening. Oh, and they're gonna do this and they're gonna do that and this is happening and that's happening and it's just like that. And there's never any, it's not heart based at all. It's not empathy or compassion based or wisdom based. It's not based on solutions, temporary solutions, more permanent solutions, consciousness geared at all. And then you look at the comments and it's all these people and they're all full of rage and full of victimhood and just going around in circles, how, oh, we're just powerless victims and they're doing this to us and they're going to do that to us and whoa. And I'm like, what's the point of that? But you know, and And invariably, these types of channels have quite a lot of subscriber levels as well. They're very high subscriber levels, which is interesting. Because, of course, yeah, that is just another nuance. It's like the Matrix, yet again, gaslighting us, you know. It wants to funnel us. And when we're in the middle of a purge, which, let's face it, we're more or less always in the middle of a purge these days, we're drawn back to those types of channels. We're drawn back to the darkness. We're drawn back to the poison. Thinking we're going to get some answers there. But you never get any answers there, because it is always the same story. Evil always wins, or evil has already won, and we're powerless victims, and we're just NPCs really, but we're pretending to be woke here. We go on about the NPCs and the human prison bars, but those are NPCs talking about NPCs. That's what they are, and that's what those channels are. It's amazing how you think people are real. This is just, how awake are we? Where are we at in this journey? How high is our awareness? How high is our discernment? Can we see it? Are we beginning to understand that yes, consciousness creates reality. We are the dreamers, dreaming this dream. And I mentioned that to somebody online, and they got very, very angry and said, oh, that's New Age and that's evil, and if you think consciousness creates reality, then you're evil, and and I said to him, well, so what's the other? Okay, how do you feel it is then? Well, that it's all real, and life just happens to you, and all you have is how you react to it. And I'm like, yeah, okay, that's great. Wow, if that is true, then we're screwed. We're finished, because how we react to this in that scenario of consciousness has absolutely nothing to do with it at all. Our reaction is simply a knee-jerk reaction fueled by trauma and mind control then, and we are indeed powerless meatbags that live and die and live and die and live and die as unwitting tortured pawns of evil in this never-ending dark, psychotic, sadistic game. End of. But not really, of course, because it goes on and on and on. And some people seem to be addicted to that type of energetic, because it has a certain feel. You think about that type of scenario and it has a certain feel. I call it the crank. Everything that we experience on an inner level has its, albeit somewhat wonky, counterparts on the external, in the fields, in the external plane. And they just is. So it's incredible. I mean, the Matrix, and again, it's just a word. I call it that because, you know what, guys, I can't be bothered. Oh, you can't say that, you mustn't call it that for this reason or that reason. And I'm like, look, semantics, fuck off. I'll call it that if I want to. And if you have a problem with that, fuck off. I don't care. I call it the Matrix, that's what I call it, because it's just a fucking word, and at least you know what I'm talking about when I say it. The Matrix, right, is a game of smoke and mirrors. It's a dream, it's a illusion which we project. I'm talking only to sold people. Obviously there's very, very few of us. Increasingly I'm beginning to understand how few of us there really, really are. Because you see, it keeps revealing itself to me now And because I'm on that level where I'm beginning to get it more and more, yeah, I get temporarily sucked in for a little bit, but then it starts baiting me. These people that I thought were real souled people turn out to be nothing other than just another NPC, and NPCs are not individuals, by the way. They don't have individual consciousness. They are just hive. They are the Matrix. They are expressions of Wetiko. It's these people that, you know, they get in touch, they send you a text or something, and unload all their shit onto you. All their shit. Oh, this is happening in my life, and that's happening in my life, and that's happening in my life, and it's all highly charged, cranked up crap, heavy, energetically. It just reading it makes you feel like, yo, I'm being had here. Something is being dumped on me energetically. I feel violated, right? Then at the end of a very long message or whatever, text, whatever, email, whatever, it's, oh, how are you, by the way? Like an afterthought, like, oh, I don't really give a fuck about you. No, this is all about me, and I have no interest in solutions or doing the work required to face my inner demons and face that which is persistently creating this nightmare life that I'm supposedly living. But of course you're not living it because you're an NPC, but there you go. So let me just dump on you. Now that is a type of baiting. The Matrix does that. We then feel violated and pissed off at the point where we realize what is happening, because there is a point where we don't realize, and we give these people all our empathy. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. Oh wow, that's horrible what you're going through. And you listen and you give them your attention and you give them your empathy and your compassion, and you feel bad for them and this and that and that. Then you get to the point where you realize, oh, but I just mentioned something that I'm going through right now that's actually pretty horrible, and they didn't even comment at all. They don't seem to give a fuck about me, in other words. Then you start to realize that you're dealing with a soulless entity, something that is devoid of empathy, of compassion. It is the Matrix, because you see, NPCs are the Matrix people. That is what they are. They're not individual consciousness. There is no consciousness. It is simply the Matrix. It's like, well, the movie, right? That's it. But it's an interactive type of movie, and it likes to fuck around with us. It likes to fuck with us, and it baits us all the time. It does that. Because what you'll find is that these creatures, whatever they are, they never change. They never ever change. And it's like, you know, you interact with them, you think they're real people, you know, and you when you're not that awake, you don't realize what's what yet, and you give them all of this and all of that, and give, and they take, and you never get a single word of support or comfort from them. And there is the vital ingredient is completely lacking in the exchange, which is that heart-based warmth and compassion, whatnot. It's just not there. It isn't there. You know, you're dealing with something that is essentially dead. It literally is like dealing with a machine or a computer or something that is pretending to be a real person, but it is not a real person at all. Now tomorrow we have Mars square Saturn. We had Mars square Pluto not that long ago, which really brought out that sort of scenario where, for those who are awake, you get it, you think, oh, because these kind of like attacks that I was talking about, you know, well, why aren't you wearing a mask, and you can't come in here, and all this type of shit. And then it's sort of happening again. It feels very, very similar. It's high crank. It's just all wrong energetically. It feels like we're being baited And it's the Matrix, it does that. Because what it wants us to react. It's like I had something happen on Facebook this morning, and it was like that. It's like, well, somebody I know made this comment, and it's like, wow, you're not actually real. Oh, you're just the Matrix again. You're trying to bait me. You want to elicit a reaction from me. It really upset me. It made me very, very angry. It did. And you could say, well, don't go on Facebook anymore. Walk away. And there is a point to that, for sure. But then, up to a point as well, I think it's a lesson. How to process your inner shit. How to learn to really self-manage and not react. Not to allow yourself to be baited. Because, yeah, you could avoid Facebook and you could avoid YouTube and you could avoid. But sooner or later, you're going to have to go and do the shopping. Sooner or later, you're going to have to go out there. You're going to have to go into a bank. And so you're going to meet it there. Because the Matrix, in the wise words of Morpheus, is everywhere. You see? So I tend to think, okay, well, I won't seek it out. I find some really good shit on Facebook as well. And as long as it still benefits me, I will continue to go on Facebook. You know, it's as simple as that. But, yeah, baiting. That is what's going on now in a big, big way. It started with this Mars square Pluto, and it's going to go up to a whole new level in this Mars square Saturn, because it's the Saturn is that feeling of this sadistic imposed limitation, this sadistic torture that true souls have been through in this realm. And it's doing it to us very much now. And when you realize that so many people that you thought were real are not real, where you realize that any kind of interaction you have with another being ought to be heart-based. There has to be that warmth, that communion, that connection where you just know beyond the shadow of a doubt that it's reciprocate, it's reciprocatory. Souls reciprocate, right? So yes, I do talk about this is going on in my life, that's going on in my life, but I'm also interested in knowing how your life is going, what is happening in your life. There is a mutual give and take. No, it's not, I wouldn't even call it give and take actually, because it is simply a sharing and a sharing, a receiving and a receiving, you know, that's it. I mean, these other creatures, the non-souled creatures, you know, that it's always about promises, you know, they talk the talk, but they never walk the walk, not at all. Oh yeah, I'm all with you and I'm for you and I'm this and I'm that. But when the nitty comes to the gritty, they leave you out in the cold because they are not with you, they are not for you, they are not going to support you, and they don't give a fuck about you. Because the Matrix, and that is what it is, of course, the Matrix is 100% self-interested. The Matrix sees you and me as a battery. Souls beings, powerful, potent, infinitely creative, have been reduced inside this Matrix panopticon to batteries. And this entire illusion has played out, and we've all thought it to be real, and the people are real, and you know, we were totally traumatized and abused and tormented. So we had this fake persona business going on, whereas, oh, you got to do this to get validated, and you got to interact with people, and you got to be a good person, so you got to be nice, you got to be kind, and you know, better not say that, and oh, shove that under the carpet and ignore this and distract from that, and oh, be entertained. And all of that shit. We have lived a lie, a complete lie, complete and utter fucking lie. And awakening is where the veils are removed, so that more and more you realize this. You realize it deeper and deeper and deeper, and it is extremely unsettling to really find out that the people you're interacting with online or in your life, wherever, aren't real. They are not, as so many, you know, the NPCs that hate NPCs, which is just, that it kind of really cracks me up in a way, because it's so clever, you know. You think, well, he can't be an NPC because he has this YouTube channel where he rants about NPCs, and it's like, oh, but he is an NPC himself. Oh, how clever. I mean, really, because it is that. It is the Matrix gaslighting you. That's it. And it wants you to stay stuck in this tortuous, reactionary, dark, antagonistic, hate-filled poison, which is the Wetiko, which is why the Matrix is there in the first place, people, to keep us trapped. Remember the mushroom field, Skulder and Mully. Skulder and Mully, Mulder and Scully. Right, if you can get that episode in the X-Files, you should watch it. It's a very good analogy of this fucking experience we're having. All these people with all their fucking problems, unloading all their shit onto us, you know. Oh, this is happening. There's always a drama, right? There's always a fucking drama. Always. Perpetually. And they're not interested in hearing about what you're going through. They could not care less. And you can get really upset about it, and you can hate them, thinking that they are a singular consciousness that is treating you like shit. See, there's that victimhood business again. Rather, you can own it, which is what I'm choosing to do. That is not a singular consciousness. That is just part of the Matrix, like a brick is part of a house. You understand? A bit like that. And it's baiting me, yeah, because it knows that I now understand about NPCs and what that sort of shit is and why that exists, and it's there to bait me, to upset me, to draw my energy out of me. Positive emotion, negative emotion, doesn't matter what it is, right? It wants my energy. No wonder we all feel exhausted all the time. We're busy reacting to everything. Wow. I mean, it behoves us to be super discerning now with regards to who we associate with. Because a lot of them are, I mean, the Matrix is getting cleverer and cleverer now. It matches our level of awakening, you understand? It's like, oh, they've seen through that, so it comes up with another nuance, which you then, for a while, think is real, and then you realise isn't, and then another nuance, and then another nuance, and then another nuance, and you realise, layer after layer after layer, as you're awakening more and more, and you see more and more what the Matrix is, because it can't help itself, it just reveals itself by continually matching our level of awakening. It is surreptitiously also exposing itself for what it is, you know? You understand how it morphs the mushroom fields? Now you realise that, oh my fucking god, now we have YouTube channels where NPCs are ranting about NPCs. Now that's a really good one, right? But it makes you realise that, yeah, the vast majority of whatever they are that we interact with are just not, no. There is no empathy. There is this heartfelt connection is totally not there. It's not there. They're very good, but they're not good enough. That's just it. And it goes for everything that exists in this thing we call reality. Everything. I mean, I went for a little walk this morning and I came across just NPCs or Hylics, call them what you will, and their dogs are NPCs as well. I know animals when they're sold and they're very, you really interact with them, there's that wonderful presence. However, I did see a deer and I felt spirits and presence in that deer, and it was amazing and it was beautiful. reminding me of that childlike innocence and purity that is the true consciousness, the alchemical child, and of that inner healing that is happening, you know, which is the lovers, you know, the tarot card, the lovers, which everybody's always busy totally fucking murdering, going on about, oh, you're going to meet a dark, handsome stranger. Because I know it's not about that, love. Fuck's sake. It's the alchemical marriage, right? The sacred feminine, the sacred masculine that have fallen out and are like enemies or frenemies or whatever, and I've finally learned that, oh yeah, we're best friends after all. Right? Or the magician and the high priestess, which is a higher elevation, is more esoteric. It's the union between the two which produces the alchemical child, and the consciousness of the alchemical child, which is the Empress, is temperance, the new consciousness, but it isn't really the new consciousness, it was there all along. And then the Wetico, the sickness, the virus, call it what you fucking will, when that's removed, cleared out by we will once again experience the true selfhood and home, because all of this shit will just go poof. Or maybe it'll happen bit by bit, I don't really know, I have no idea, but you know. But again, we're surrounded by people that are not people that just won't do the work. All they want to do is whine and rage and talk about their fucking never-ending dramas and all their fucking shitty drama-based, you know, negativity-based, drenched YouTube channels that they love so very, very much. And at the end of the day, it's all bullshit, people, and none of it is real. It's all matrix, and it's there to give you the illusion that that is real. It wants to draw you in because it knows you're there on your knees, because the healing is happening, you see, and it's gone to a whole new level, deeper, really in there. This whole COVID situation has just really ramped it up as well. And every time we go out now, we feel more strung out than ever before, you know, which makes us, which helps the awakening, believe it or not. Actually, it really, really does. You become more aware of it. You have no choice but to deal with the fallout emotionally, mentally, you know. True souls are eager to do the work. They're eager for it. They yearn, they want, they choose, they do. That's it. Yeah. True souls are like that. And they change. There is, and they say this, they express this, you will hear the stories of their experience, you know, and it's not made up bullshit. These are true stories of hard-won victories, of long dark night of the soul's bloody churnings and yearnings and upside down nasty insanity that they work through, that they endure, that they dive into, all for healing purposes. And it's all heart-based, it's all compassion-based, it's all empathy and wisdom-based and love-based. It isn't glib or one-dimensional or all my problems, and oh, how are you? You're right. Oh, all my problems, all my... No, that's not it. No, that's not it, people. See, the whole thing about consciousness creating reality became a big no-no because the New Age took it, this wholesome principle, the truth, it took it, Wetico, very clever, the Matrix, very clever, gaslighting nonsense, took it and twisted it out of all recognition and made it into something dark, something for NPCs, because you see, NPCs are of the Matrix, and the Matrix is of Wetico, and Wetico exists only in this panopticon and this creation, which is why NPCs love the material world. They like their big cars. They like their you know, they want to have sex and they want to have big cars and they want all the trappings of the material, but they're not interested in the higher, you see, at all. They can pretend to be interested in the higher. They're very good at pretending. They're great mimickers, but again, always the same. There is no empathy, right? You get all these gurus everywhere, or you know, people that, oh, I'm so spiritual because I live in a yurt, and oh, and I've done this rebirthing sessions with guru, fuck me not, and oh, it's wonderful, and it's like, yeah, whatever. But you see, the New Age it does that. It takes the truth. This matrix takes the truth because it knows that sooner or later true consciousness is gonna find the truth, because the truth is peppered throughout this realm, because it is a creation of the true consciousness which is superimposed here. Yeah, that's like the diamonds that you find in the mud, and there's a shitload of mud everywhere in this gaslighty nonsense reality. But you do find the diamonds, which is the truth. Now, the Matrix knows this. It knows we're going to find the truth. So what does it do? It takes that truth, it totally distorts that truth, turns it into something completely unrecognizable, like the law of attraction. Oh, consciousness creates reality. So you have loads of positive thoughts, and then you end up being married to Barbie, and you end up having a massive mansion with 60 bathrooms. Woo! You know, that sort of shit. That's not what it's about, people. We don't care about the material because this is a fucking abomination. We know that. It has to be completely and utterly dissolved. So we're not here for that. We're not here to have golden bath bloody tabs. You know, we're not here for that. We're here for something else altogether. But you see, it does that. It's all part of the trick. It's all part of the gaslighty, ongoing gaslighty nonsense that is levied upon us. It is the mushroom fields, people. So it behoves us to be super discerning. It behoves us to be extremely objective as much as we can be, to continue to introspect. And as far as any kind of relationship you might have with friends or with people online or Facebook or YouTube or out there or whatever, wherever, whoever, always pay attention to how they interact with you. Do they dump all their shit on you? Are they interested in you and your story? Do they ask about you? Do you feel that heart-centered warmth? Do they show that they care about you, that they have empathy for you? Do they? Or is it a case of like, oh, I want your attention, and oh, I want to tell you about all my problems, and the problem gets solved, but then there's another problem, and there's an ongoing, oh, it's just never-ending bullshit, and it strings you along, and there you are, giving, empath that you are. And oh, this is another thing I do. Oh, but I'm an empath, you know, but it's like, no, you're not. You have no empathy. It is devilish. Diabolically fucking clever is the Matrix in tricking us, continually tricking us, and we have to learn to think on a whole new level. We have to honestly realize that the Matrix gives us boxes. Oh, you end up in this, you're in this tiny little box, then you wake up, you start to awaken, so the box gets a bit bigger, you awaken more, the box gets bigger, you know. The Matrix will give us boxes until we realize that there is no fucking box, people. That's it. There is no box. If it has no empathy continuously, then it's an NPC. If it's not interested in solutions, as in, I want to introspect and find out, go within myself, because that is where the answer is. If it's not interested in doing that, if it just wants to talk about the external, and oh, they're doing this and they're going to do that, and oh, evil, always focus on evil and evil's works, but is not interested in any kind of solution or working through it or doing anything at all, then it's an NPC. It's as simple as that. That is just the Matrix, giving you these seemingly real people to lead you astray, to make you think it is over there, or it's over there, or it's this, or it's that. And it isn't, it isn't, it isn't, it isn't, it isn't. Which leads me again back to another pivotal point of it all, is trust yourself. Trust yourself. Truth, when it comes to you from somebody else or from the external, it has to be taken with like a big bag of salt, because inevitably, nah. Don't follow anybody. Don't follow anybody. You know? Just go with yourself. Trust yourself. If it feels wrong, if something feels wrong, if someone feels wrong, it's wrong. If it's all toxic and negative, perennially, and it's no, you know, because that doesn't nurture you, that doesn't feed you, that doesn't help you, that doesn't elevate you, it doesn't get you anywhere, but it wants you there. Oh yes, it does. The vertigo wants you there, and the vertigo is coming up in a big way now, internally. Pluto, external, you know, toward you. Saturn, internal, it's already there. Wow. Making the connection, the inner, the outer, the matrix. What's really going on? How many boxes? Is there a box? Man, oh man. I dare say this video is really rambly and a bit all over the place. But I dare say that I will make a great deal of sense to soul travelers. People that want to get stuck in this, you know, want to do the work. It's what we do after all. We're not here to fuck around and to play games and to gaslight. You know, we're not here to siphon off energy from people. We're here to sort this shit out. We're here to heal that consciousness that creates reality, because we are the dreamers and we're dreaming a nightmare. We're here to own that, to go within. The only way out is through. So we're going through, we're going in, and we're going through. We're going through all, we're going in that basement, and we're going to sort through all the shit that we find now and clear it out and resolve and alchemize and heal that consciousness. And then the magic. Getting that magic back, people. That is what we're here to do. And it's way, way, way beyond language. I just thought about that today. You know, there are so many experiences, emotions, nuances to this experience that defies language. There is no language for that. And actually, there is a reason for that. If you don't have language for something, then it is almost as if it doesn't exist. Right? So the Matrix, cleverly, has language that, again, is very limited. Isn't it? How many times have you had an experience in the last, say, I don't know, 5-6 months? Well, in the year 2020, right? How many times have you had emotions, weird thoughts, experiences that you sat there thinking, you know what, I have no words for this. There is no language for this. And how utterly frustrating and grating is that fact. Because the Matrix is in denial. It's like, no, Vertigo doesn't want to be healed, because then it's gone. Right? One way that it obstructs that is by simply not allowing there to be any kind of language for what we are experiencing on a daily basis, you see. That's a kind of disenfranchisement of a way. It's a kind of invalidation. It doesn't stop it. It won't stop. It won't ultimately help Vertigo to remain entrenched in our consciousness. It won't. But that's just another one of those tricks that it uses. It's so clever. It's unbelievable. Anyway, So just because the New Age has said, oh, the law of attraction and consciousness creates reality, and it's all about having the latest gadgets and the most expensive house, and that doesn't mean that therefore consciousness does not create reality, and it's all bullshit, and it's a psyop, and we should all be really negative and you know, and just no. It's called reverse psychology, actually. You know, they do this all the time. The Matrix does it all the time. It wants us to chuck out the baby with the bathwater. It wants us to walk away from the truth. It doesn't want it wants us to see the truth as an enemy. That's why it does that. It takes truth, distorts it, gives it to us, yeah, to the people, to the world. We're still surrounded by all these new ages right now, and people with the law of attraction, you know, and we know it's fucking bullshit. It's grating. But yeah, that doesn't mean that consciousness does not create reality, and in fact it's the only thing that makes any sense to me. It's where I can go within and do the work, layer after layer, and I have been doing exactly that for quite a few years now. And wow, the revelations never stop coming. The synchronicity is like, kudu! So I know full well that this is the truth and continues to be so. It works for me. You know, it works a hell of a lot better for me than believing myself to be a powerless victim, some sort of powerless, worthless pawn to evil, as so many people seem to be happy to you know, to think. Anyway, that's just my little bit of a ranty today. Alright people, salut.